use an ice cream scoop, I wanted it to last forever. Through years and years of prototyping, I finally refined the perfect ice cream scoop. Because if you use the Midnight Scoop with this, I'm calling it a Midnight Scoop. And here's how it works. Using the palm of your hands, you can push through even the hardest ice cream. The wrists are locked straight, and thus they are protected from injury. You can push as hard as you want. So why does this work so well? When you push with your palm, you are using large muscles like your arms and chest. You use your wrist like other scoopers want you to. You are using weak joints. They are designed as the curved shape of the Midnight Scoop's handle. This curvature allows you to push with your palm through hard ice cream. When something is designed right, it just looks right. And it's beautiful, and it's perfect in every way. Well, that's great news. It works perfectly, and it's beautiful.
I feel like we should test it in class.
I made it to last forever. Forged
What?
6061 aerospace grade
Oh my god, that's absurd.
solid metal. I overgave you. That's
That has
why
to be
we're
heavy.
going to give you a lifetime warranty on this.
That's not
Oh,
necessary.
aluminum's
If
not
for
necessarily
whatever
heavy
reason you
metal.
drop your
yeah.
scooper from a 50-story building, or accidentally run it over with your
What?
car, send it to us, and we'll
If he
replace it.
accidentally.
That is,
It doesn't
if
look-
it even breaks. Some
Why would
companies
you-
design their products
To
to
show
last a
durability.
certain amount of time, and then force you to rebuy the same products over and over again. That stops here. That's not how a true engineer thinks, and that's not how an engineer would run their business. The Midnight Scoop is designed perfectly. It will last forever. We want you to hand this down for many generations to come, and we guarantee it.
Okay.
It doesn't have small technology, those are more expensive, and like
So,
military,
yeah.
so it's not a good consistency.
So, with the arguments for this scoop, there were some problems with the demand and supply and adding this new scoop to the market, how that would affect the scoop itself, this, the supply and demand of ice cream, and then also the complements of ice cream. So, with a new scoop like this, the price is higher, but if you love ice cream and you have a weak wrist, you're gonna buy it. Once you buy it, you're set for life according to their lifetime guarantee. So you're not gonna have to keep buying those cheap, like plastic ones that might break, or you put in the dishwasher and it turns funny colors and whatnot. So it's a big investment in the beginning. And so there was an argument that in the beginning, people maybe buy less ice cream because they're spending so much on the scoop. But then over time, they're eventually gonna buy that same amount of ice cream again. So it's affecting the demand for ice cream because now it's really easy. And if you buy a scoop, you gotta buy ice cream, right? So the demand for ice cream could shift to the right and expand, right? And then the demand for complements, since you're now demanding more ice cream, therefore you might want more sprinkles or toppings, right? So that demand curve could also shift. Okay? I have your papers graded. Most of you are not gonna be happy with your grade. So I am going to cancel the second paper and presentation and allow you to, if you want, fix the problems on your paper, turn it back in for up to 15 points. Okay, up to 15. If you are only like 6 points away from 100, like 100%, you're not gonna go over, but you can at least get up there. If you're fine and happy with your grade, you don't have to redo the paper. If you are redoing the paper, you need to fix all of the grammar, spelling errors, sentence structure errors, have it proofread before you turn it in. And then also with, I put define econ terms on a lot of them. A lot of the terms were misused. So if you're misusing a term, you might want to take your paper in a new direction, so you might actually be rewriting the whole paper. But just show me that you're putting in some effort to maybe get a better grade.
When do you want that due?
I'm gonna say, I was originally thinking next Wednesday, but maybe I'll give you to Friday, next Friday.
That sounds great. So we're not having the second paper at all?
Right.
Okay. That is so popular.
Yeah, I was just thinking, because really, that I had signed, it's about economists, and with each of you having a different economist, if we're not presenting it in class, then it's not really beneficial to the group, just maybe individually. So I mean, you still get something out of it, but the presentations are gonna take 3 class times, and I'm looking at what we still have to cover and how far we still need to go, and I just don't think we can afford those 3 class times, so get away with that. The paper is 15% of your grade. Everybody in this class is still passing with the grade they got, but there are other tests and things in the future. So if you wanna rewrite it, you have that opportunity. Okay? It has to be, so a lot of you got docked because it's not at least 2 full pages. If you were like, okay, for example, if this was all text and you were within this, it's technically not 2 full pages onto a third. I'm not gonna dock you for that, but if it's like all the way up here, no. And then also with the conclusions, you restated what your paper was about, but you didn't really go in depth and kind of bring it together. So leave like a personal, we're gonna see if I can find a good conclusion. There is a rubrics on each paper too, so you can see how I got your grade.
That's very helpful.
Let's see. Sorry, nobody's getting an excellent on conclusion. Okay, this one. Okay, so this one was on the medical device. Yeah, and in their conclusion, they just kind of concluded things. So they restated what the paper was about and kind of drew some conclusions from it. So, again, this is that military implant that would help, help you heal and, from injury or disease. So with any new product, there will be advantages and disadvantages. The military's tiny self-healing implant comes with numerous marginal costs and marginal benefits. It will result in unemployment for some and new jobs for others, and it will create a decrease in the demand for medicine and vaccines, resulting in a surplus of said products. So that's basically restating her thesis statement. And then she goes on. Just like any new good or service being produced, there will always be ups and downs. From the consumer standpoint, I believe the medical implant could change our society for the better. So she's saying what she believes. So now, she's done all this research and she's saying, from what I've found, this is what I think. So that's part of her conclusion. It could result in fewer premature deaths if injected at an early age, and it could create an overall healthier community for us to live in. The only way to properly find out is to continue the development and testing of the new product. Okay, so that was an actual conclusion. She kind of took what she did with her research, put it together, restated her thesis, and then gave a little bit more input. Now, you're not gonna introduce new information in here, so she's not gonna automatically start talking about something else. If you're gonna talk about something else, it needs to be in the body of your paper, but the conclusion is restating what you did and then kind of going from there, okay?
So are you okay with us using AI in mine?
In this paper, it was okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. With the next paper, it wouldn't have been. Alright, so we're gonna get rid of the midnight scoop and get into chapter 8.
Are we ever gonna see our essays?
Yeah, you'll get them at the end of class. I just don't want tears and drama in my class, so you can get it on your way out.
We're actually pretty good at that.
That's interesting.
We got focus.
When is the next test gonna be about?
The next test is gonna be about math. You're gonna have the consumer, producer surplus, you're gonna have, the percent change, what was that, the demand? What's that called?
Elasticity?
Yeah, elasticity, you're gonna have,
Percentage of value and then it goes over percentage of price.
right,
Okay.
page is ready. We can just do it on Monday, right?
Right.
No, probably next week, towards the end. How's Friday look?
Are we gonna get like a review sheet that tells us what's gonna be?
Your review sheet is your homework that I've assigned.
Okay.
So go back over the homework. If you have questions, ask me at the front desk.
On this test, are we gonna have anything of the
how many were employed, how many hours were unemployed, really? Okay, for future use, can we like put some more attention on that, cause I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty nice.
Yeah,
Like,
that was very
to give that
nice.
some more time and
Okay.
focus.
Are we gonna have the farm revenue ones? The which one? The farm revenue? Yeah. Okay.
No, we didn't talk about that, when I assigned the problems, I was just looking at like the form, and I was like, oh, they did this, they can do that. And when I went through to do them, to help you guys out, I was like, what is this? So no, the farm revenue's not gonna be on there. But the unemployment and we can go over that on Monday at the beginning, okay? So this isn't working correctly, but I think it's big enough that you guys can see it if I just click through. Okay, so with utility, we have household consumption and choices, and this again is chapter 8. So in chapter 8, we have the budget line, which is, it shows the limits to a household consumption choices. So the household has a given amount of income to spend, and they can't influence the price of goods and services they buy. So basically, each time I get a paycheck, I have a budget, like I can't spend more than what my paycheck is. And then I can't go to a store and say, shoot, this apple's $2, I was only hoping to pay like 50 cents, could you lower the price? Like that doesn't work in a normal market economy, right? So the budget line limits, is the limits to a household consumption choices. So the household has a given amount of income to spend, and they cannot influence the price of goods and services they buy. The constraint on consumption changes when the price of a good changes or your income changes. So if you think about that, if you start making more money, your budget line's gonna change. Or if the price of items go up or down, your budget line's gonna change, right? Because you can either buy more or less of that item. So if you open your books, page, oh, is this chapter 9? No. They all kind of run together. I didn't put any graphs in this, but you can open to page 156 and see the budget line there. And this is similar to the possibility frontier curve where you have the attainable within the line, and then unattainable is anything past the line. So this would be attainable, this would be unattainable. And then we're going back to the term of utility. So we use utility to describe preference. So again, the benefit or satisfaction that a person gets from the consumption of a good or service. So that's the definition of utility. Is the benefit or satisfaction that a person gets from the consumption of a good or service. And then utility is an abstract concept, and its units are arbitrary. So in the book, it gives an example of a concept that's kind of abstract and arbitrary, and that is the example of temperature. So we know that at 32 degrees Fahrenheit is considered freezing, and that water will freeze, right? But if we're looking at Celsius, it's at 0. So we just assign, like we know through certain behaviors and habits of things, what happens at a certain point, but the number 0 or the number 32 doesn't really have any significance, right? It's just an observation we've made. And that's similar with utility, because we're describing the preferences of consumers. Total utility is the total benefit a person gets from the consumption of goods and services. And it depends on the level of consumption, so usually the more you consume, the higher your utility will be. The marginal utility is the change in total utility that results from a 1 unit increase in the quantity of a good consumed. So marginal utility is looking at the change in total utility that results from a 1 unit increase in the quantity of a good consumed. And then, the last one on this slide, diminishing marginal utility. So we've talked about diminishing returns, with mac and cheese. So we said that the first like 1 or 2, maybe even 3 bowls of macaroni and cheese that Erin is eating, her utility is pretty high. But by the time you get to like the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, she's not getting the same amount of pleasure or utility out of consuming that next bowl. So that's the same here, where it's diminishing marginal utility. As you consume more, the utility you get from each additional unit decreases. So if we swap out utility for the definition, as you consume more, the benefit or satisfaction that a person gets from the consumption of a good or service from each additional unit decreases. Maximizing utility. So while we're using the marginal utility maximization theory, we're assuming that households choose the consumption possibility that is maximizing their total utility. And then the consumer equilibrium is when a consumer has allocated all of their available income in the way that, given the prices of goods and services, maximizes their total utility. So again, looking at like kind of that equilibrium that comes about from, they have this available budget and then items that they want, so getting the most for their money in a sense. And then the marginal utility per dollar spent. The marginal utility obtained from the last unit of a good consumed divided by the price of the good. So in the book, how many of you had a chance to read chapter 8? Anyone? Okay. We'll read chapter 8 tonight, and this will all make more sense. But on page 159, we have Lisa's affordable combinations. So Lisa has 2 goods that she wants to spend her money on. She has movies and soda. So in that demand schedule, we have the quantity per month of movies that she can see, and then her total utility for those movies. So we're putting a numerical value to her utility. And that's that marginal utility per dollar spent is what we're going to be looking at soon. So with her demand schedule, we also have for soda her total utility and then the number of 6-packs per month she could buy. And then in that column in the center, we have the total utility from movies and soda. So that center one is that total utility. That's the utility from all the products that she can consume. But then movies has its own total utility, and then so does soda. Okay, we'll look at that again in a minute. So the utility is maximized when all the consumer's available income is spent and when the marginal utility per dollar is equal for all goods. So we would look at that demand schedule to see where her utility is equal for movies and soda. So for the marginal utility per dollar spent, we have the formula, the equation, marginal utility for the first good over the price of the first good should equal the marginal utility for the second good over the price of the second good. Okay, so we have marginal utility of good 1 over the price of good 1 marginal utility of good two over the price of good two. Okay, so the utilities maximize when all consumers' available income is spent, and when the marginal utility per dollar spent is equal for all goods, so when we have this equaling out, okay? So by comparing the marginal gain from having more of one good with the marginal loss from having less of another good, we are able to ensure that we get the maximum utility, or maximum attainable utility. If the marginal utility per dollar spent on a good exceeds the marginal utility per dollar spent on a good, on good A, let me say that again. So if the marginal utility per dollar spent on good A exceeds the marginal utility per dollar spent on good B, then you would consume more of good A. So that would be the case where if this is good A, so we're saying that the marginal utility of good A is exceeding, so it's greater than the marginal good of B, we would consume more of this one. So we're getting more utility out of having more of this than we are to have it out of this one. And then, if the marginal gain from an action exceeds the marginal loss, you take the action. So if you're gaining from choosing this, you take that action. And we've talked about this with the marginal benefit, marginal cost. So this is a similar principle. We're just talking about utility now. So to work out the effect of a change in price or income on the consumption choice, there's three things we do. We determine the combinations of good A and B that just exhaust the new income at all the new price levels. So that would be similar to the table 8.2 on page 159, where we're listing the utility from that. Or actually table 8.3, because it has the marginal utility per dollar spent. Okay, so we're determining the combinations of good A and B that just exhaust the new income of the new prices. And then we'll also calculate the new marginal utilities per dollar spent. So we're recalculating these and then determining the combination that makes the marginal utilities per dollar spent on good A and B equal. So in the book, we have the example of movies and soda. So table 8.3 is showing that movies, if they cost $6 each, and then just below that has the quantity, marginal utility, and then marginal utility per dollar spent. So if Lisa is consuming 2 movies, if she's going to 2 movies at $6 each, we determine that her marginal utility is 38, and then her marginal utility per dollar spent is 6.33. So we have the marginal utility of 38 over the price. The price per movie is $6.
Why is it 38?
Where'd you get 38?
Yeah, where did you get
Table
that?
8.3. Okay, so 38, do you see where I'm at in the highlighted paint? Okay, so if her marginal utility is 38, that's an arbitrary number they've assigned to her utility for this good. So if her marginal utility is 38, her marginal utility per dollar spent is 6.33, so we got that by 38 divided by $6. So we just use this marginal utility of the good over the price of the good. Okay? And then for soda, if she consumes 6 packs, her marginal utility is 19. And then a 6-pack of soda, they're saying costs $3. So if we take 19 divided by 3, we have 6.3 for your cane also. So this is the case where the marginal utility of the first good is equal to the marginal utility of the second good. But, yeah,
Sorry, where did the 3 come from under the 19?
it's the price. So if you look, table 8.3, it says equalizing marginal utilities per dollar spent. Directly under there it has movies, and then parentheses $6. And the next column has soda, parentheses $3 per 6-pack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's, sorry, I should put a dollar sign there. Okay. And then Sarah, did that answer your question? Yeah. Okay, Marnie?
With the marginal utility, is that something that we have to calculate, or is it always just gonna be given to us per graph?
Well, with this, it's given, in the demand schedule. I don't think it's gonna be something you'll have to calculate.
Okay, cause like, I'm wondering where the 38 came from, but you're saying that it's like, it's on the graph, so that's what it is.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Let me see. Oh, there's the bill. So we'll pick up on this tomorrow, and I might just add some graphs to the presentation so it's easier to follow along. Reading chapter 8, oh, and I have your papers. Now, and like I said, you don't have to rewrite. If you're happy with your grade, you can keep it that way.
This next test, is it 5 through 8 or 6 through 8?
I will tell you on Monday, because I'm not sure. Everyone's back here. Holly,
You don't want one of these?
Yeah, I lost one.
Okay.
Jeannie. Sierra.
Just so you have like a packet.
And-
I have,
Okay, you have one. Oh, sorry, Marie. Sydney. Sierra.
I run it before, like, I'm trying to
I love the air.